cash assets, or is that just saying now total
Total.
assets in
Total
building
worth.
and ground?
I think
Combination
that's
of cash
probably
plus
paying
less
What we
debt.
the
paid
loan
off on the
and-
loan,
yeah.
and
Right,
we
net.
paid
Yeah.
150 on a loan, so the
That-
assets increased how much?
150, yeah.
157 and change.
157,
So
3.
it was all the
Oh, that's
loan that,
good.
that part of the loan we paid off.
That, but they also put in that the GASB 45, a number for the future health insurance that hadn't been in last time. So 157 includes that in as well. So
Oh, okay.
How
with
big
that
a number?
They
in,
put an expense item in
Well,
that
they
was
have it
not
in-
approved by our board?
they have it accounted
was
for
approved
the
by our
GASB.
board.
Yeah, the GASB 45. They
Right.
have it accounted for in this report for the first time. The prior years it hadn't been in,
Right,
based on that report from that other company
right.
that was up in
And
Syracuse.
so what is that number? That
Uh,
we're-
25,000?
Yeah, I didn't look at it
Yeah.
specifically,
Yes.
but yeah, there it is. And yeah,
Page
so
3.
that's in there as well. So it makes it look even better that we're up 157
Yeah,
with that accounted for that hadn't been accounted for.
As an expense item, or is that just on the balance sheet?
The balance sheet is a future liability, so it's nothing we paid.
It's
It's
not.
just hanging out. But it would be
What-
included
what's
in
the
our net
problem?
asset number.
I'm sorry, but the television is not.
it's not recording?
Recording.
Are we getting audio at least? Huh?
Are you getting the back of Frank's head?
That's, no. Frank, no.
No,
no, the other way.
This way.
You're fine.
He had a haircut too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And someone should let them know that we're not a town board.
Yeah, I will. We will. That's why it's just a draft. It might be
Yeah,
spelling errors and stuff like
Sure.
that, and but anyway, we were glad that they were able to
Notice
get it to
that.
us on time and that it came out fine. But on to the current report. The balance sheet shows as of September 30th, we didn't get our tax check until the Monday, the 3rd. So normally we get it on September 30th. But September 30th was a Friday this year, so I guess they were a little behind. But it's interesting that we ended with 82,106 in total, all cash. So that includes the TAN. So that means if we hadn't gotten the TAN, we would have been down to like 7,000 or 8,000.
Right,
So
okay.
it's probably a good idea that we got the TAN. We would have been cutting it way too close.
Sure.
But on Monday the 3rd, we got our first check for $500,774.50, which was the total 575 minus the 75 TAN repayment,
Right,
and then minus $110 interest.
interest on the 10.
Right. So the 110 was really what it cost us to have a little breathing room and not be down to pennies almost. So
Yeah,
so it was worth it. So now we have like $500,000 in the key account.
okay,
So I cut a check for $350 that I figured maybe we could move to the Orange County
okay.
money market because the rate's probably a little better, or should I say a little less horrible than what it is at Key, but we'll earn a little interest. So that's where we
You
stand
can send
now.
me that one.
Now, if the two of them are the same, we probably should still give it to Orange County Trust because they're the ones that
The loan,
really
right?
helped us out.
Right, and
when
they've
we-
been very
They really
helpful.
were great, so.
Right, they're really on the
Yeah.
ball with everything.
Thank
Even
you,
with the
Jeff.
auditors, by the way, as well, Orange County, whenever the auditors asked for last minute questions or whatever, the bank was quick to get
Just
them
transferring money from one
to
account.
get them the
Yeah, to one
information
that
they
has better
needed. So
interest, no?
they're
And
very
what is-
professional.
What
wasn't
interest
sure what
rate
you
are
were saying
we
about
have on that
He said
loan?
even if they
I
didn't
think it's
have
like
tremendously
0.45%.
better
If it's the
interest,
same
it's the
interest
same
Yeah.
rate.
interest, we should
Yeah.
still transfer the money.
Wait, on the
Same
loan or on
amount of
the money
business,
market?
right.
Gotcha.
The loan.
Oh,
Yeah, we
5 and
shouldn't
3
lose
quarters.
money to
No,
be
to
friendly.
be
That should be retried.
No, not to lose money.
No,
Okay, I
I
wasn't
know.
sure.
If
It's
the
all
interest
almost
was the
2 years
same,
now,
if the
so
interest is the
the
same,
rate
we
Should
is
should still
refi
transfer the
that.
Gotcha.
money.
But, I mean,
Because
there's
they really did
4%
us a
mortgage,
solid.
4.5% mortgages out there. We shouldn't be paying 5.5.
We aren't paying, it's not like, what do we have? We have a loan,
We have
that's,
a
we
loan.
have like an unsecured loan, it's not a mortgage. We have a
It
5-year.
is not, as far as I know, the
I-
original.
The original was an interest-only mortgage on the land. I
this
renegotiated that
building
with
was-
Tiffany and, no, we didn't use anything as collateral. We used
On
our
the
good name
original-
as the library
Right,
to get a loan
but-
to cover the expense of the land. That's what we did
This
with
is an
Orange County.
unsecured loan. the
It's
one
an
we got right
unsecured
now.
loan because we're the library and we've been here for 100 years and they trust us to pay them back.
Which
Because the
enables,
other people didn't.
No, they didn't. They wanted a
They
mortgage on
had
the
a
land.
mortgage
It
on
was
the
a
land
loan.
and the building.
Right, the building was collateral for the loan on the land, and it was a
Right.
land loan with interest only. We renegotiated it 2 years ago, whatever,
Right.
with Orange County Trust, who gave us the, just because we're the library and we've been here for 100 years and we'll pay them back. So they give us a 5-year loan
Which saved us closing costs.
Yeah, and it
speeded
was,
it up.
yeah, it was
I'm
a
not
5-year
just,
loan, it was ridiculous
seemed that,
interest,
you know, we
5%, right?
We could
Right, isn't that what
probably
we pay,
knock our
5%?
rate down to 4.5% somewhere.
But that's an
along
interesting
the line.
question.
Yeah, but it's, we're only paying 5.25 or something on this anyway, and it'll be done in 3 years. It's not
Yeah.
like,
You
we
probably can't
negotiate-
get an unsecured loan for less than that.
No,
Maybe-
and we
maybe
actually-
since rates have
actually-
come down, we should ask, I don't know.
I'll give
Yeah.
you a
I can
loan.
inquire if you guys want, yeah.
you have
4%.
$350,000, you wanna?
I can give you a
Lend the
loan
library?
at 4% for 3 years if you want.
Well,
Well, maybe we should look into that.
maybe we should look into it, but I think
Yeah.
there might be a conflict with you being on the board.
You know, resign. I have
Well,
enough
that
faith
sweetens
in,
the pot, wait a minute.
You trust us, huh?
it shows you that I have faith in the Goshen Library.
There you go.
Is it
Well, that was
better
Orange
Okay.
County's trust
Additional
idea.
question
Lots
before you
better.
run off on the
4
balance
times better.
sheet. We have a negative accounts payable of $7,000.
I gotta look, I don't know how that happened, but I'll have to look in there. It's going the wrong way. There must be something in there. Or it could be a cutoff issue or something, but I'll check into that. So obviously it shouldn't be going the opposite way in accounts payable. I'll
Okay.
look.
And the other question is our total cash reserves, non-budget cash that we have now amounts to $157,000. Do you agree with me?
No.
Because-
That's total assets, including
Assets,
everything.
that's not cash reserve.
Okay, but our total cash, current cash as of the end of December, at the end of first 3 months of
Of the current year?
the current year.
Yeah.
Oh, no, okay, our total cash should be the sum total
It's
of
the-
all of the money that we spent for the first 3 months, less $75,000. Do you agree with that calculation? And that should be the amount of money that we have in unexpended reserves that we've been carrying forward.
It would be the amount that we had left at June 30th, 2011,
But
minus.
we're gonna never know that because we'll never get that. It took us a year and a half to get this. We'll never know what we had at the end of June in
Well,
2011.
we must have an account
Yeah, we have,
with
must have,
a
on
total.
June 30th, what did we have in
So
the
what
Yeah,
budget?
we have
What
like
do
the
we have?
report from here, because even
Balance
the
the balance
report
sheet.
from here doesn't change that much. The
No.
cash should stay roughly the same.
Right,
It's just
not,
the other stuff.
But
that-
each year, we should leave whatever we've had in unexpended budget should be added to our reserves, should they not? And we've never, to my knowledge, we've never, except for the year, I think, when Keo sort of did her magic, we've never gone over budget.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, well, the last 2 or 3 years, we've been dramatically under budget. That's why the net assets increased.
And we
so
were
much.
trying to keep on finding out what that amount was. Somewhere along the line, this board has got to get back to the next year's budget. And there might be something, perhaps we should move some of
Right.
the surplus that we've got buried around that we don't really know what the full number is, to offset a possible increase in taxes.
So you're saying there's something of a fund balance
Yes.
every year,
Yes.
that the budget that we have approved is not
Well, there was
what we
enough
spend
to,
every year.
to make
Okay.
it through September 30th.
There
so
wasn't,
That's
what
what
we
I'm
had
saying, so
was,
we've had, what money we should have should be our total expenses through 9/30,
right,
less $75,000.
it comes to about $8,000.
right, that's what we would have had left.
Right, that's what we would have left
We
on
would have barely
9/30.
made it if we didn't have the tan.
Right.
I understand, no, I understand exactly what you're saying. You got a different calculation than I'm using.
Okay.
I'm saying there's not a person on this board, perhaps with the exception of you. You seem to have more knowledge than we do, or at least, but there's not a single one of us that can tell you we have a fund balance of.
We don't.
We don't have a fund balance. We arrived at the end of June with just enough money to make it through till we got our first check from the school
Well,
board. And not
But where is-
exactly
But
as
that's
much.
another fiscal year, so
I
that money.
understand that, but we
You
end
could,
up,
you could make the argument, but what he's saying, if I understand you, you're saying that at the end of June, there was X amount of dollars which we then used to cover July, August, and September.
Correct.
We
So the
used our
question
fund
is-
balance to do
Right.
that.
Right, but
He's
we do
calling
that
that-
every year
right, he's
because we are not allowed to change our fiscal year. So you're calling it a fund balance. We're actually using it as operating capital until October 1st when we get our check from the school. And then next year, we will do exactly the same thing. We will get to the end of our fiscal year, but we will not get any money from
I
the school until
understand it.
September. But so it's not actually like we're carrying extra money sitting around somewhere.
It is.
It's extra
truly
only
is.
it's extra only on paper because we can't function without it. If we were to take that money out of our budget and stick it somewhere as a fund balance for some future project, we wouldn't be able to operate for 3 months.
If we ended at zero, we would have needed a
Or we'd have to go and
$300,000
borrow $375,000 from the school district
And we'll
every
be a larger
Sunday.
town.
And
So that's
and-
what you're proposing we do, that
I'm
at the
not
end of...
saying
Oh,
that,
no,
but-
I'm trying to understand if that's what you think is the thing to do. That 300, 200, whatever $1,000 that we use to operate for July, August, and September, you think we should have put that in a fund balance and got a cash advance on the money for that fiscal year?
Yes.
Okay.
Or borrowed from our own fund balance. But that,
So it would actually just be a paper move, is what you're talking about?
exactly, but
But
this
it's-
is truly, and it truly is a fund balance. We refuse to call it a
Oh,
fund
fine.
balance.
That's fine, as long as
It's
I'm
a
just...
surplus.
I'm
an
trying to
operating
understand-
surplus.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand where you're coming from, because
And-
you just want to call it a fund balance, but still use it as operating cost for
Yes,
July,
yes,
August, and
I-
September.
right.
So the money we have at the end of June, June 30th, 2012, we will refer to as the fund balance that we will use as operating capital for July, August, and September of 2012. Is that what you're proposing? Is that what you
That's
think we should do?
possibly one of the things that we could do.
Okay.
And I mean, that makes sense.
But it's mostly a bookkeeping thing and not a practical, it doesn't change how we operate practically. You're talking about how we keep
I don't know
it.
if the other trustees would agree with you there, that we should know what's in the bank. What's
Right.
in the bank that we
Well-
have in case of, we have to come up with some kind of a decision
Mm-hmm.
that we have to take money out of, that we don't have in the budget. We're looking at, right now, we have no idea what the expenditures are downstairs. Maybe you do, but we don't know what the full cost of this thing is gonna have. We may have expenses out of that thing that are, certainly are not covered in our current budget.
Right.
And maybe we want to take that money, take some of that out of that fund.
So
Which-
the fund balance that that we will have left at June 30th, 2012, is that what you're saying? That's,
What I'm saying is that I feel strongly that each of the trustees at this table should know, should have available to them what the number is.
the number is, as of September 30th, this is our assets. And then Jack just told us that we just got another deposit of $500,000. I'm not understanding what you think we don't know.
Well,
Every meeting, everybody gets
At
this.
the end of June,
Yes,
July 1st,
right,
roughly $250,000
is left,
was there.
yes.
It's right around 250 is my
Right
Right,
about
right,
that, yeah.
right. We ended the year almost the same
270.
we started, despite paying the $150.
$279, I had figured.
279,000?
Yeah.
276 in cash.
276, okay. So that's where we were. That could be
That
called
was-
a fund balance.
Okay,
And now we chose as a board to use that to get us through with a little bit of a cushion in the tan.
Right, right.
And but I think you're right that we should remember that next June we're probably going to have $250,000,
roughly the same, yeah.
$275,000 left over in a fund balance, which
Mhm.
we'll probably use exactly the same way we did this time.
right.
To pay people in the summer.
But it
Yeah.
comes
To pay the
back,
bills.
it's gonna come back.
But it
We're
comes back
lending it,
every
we're gonna
year.
lend it to ourselves.
Right, so
And
why
in
not?
fact, as you know, I'm a proponent of borrowing, making the borrowing from the school district part of the business as the way we do business.
That's fine, but I'm
Because I
not
feel
understanding. We're all in agreement that we ended the year with 270 left, and we used it to operate for the last 3 months. We just didn't all refer to it as a fund balance. Are you asking that we have it be referred to as a fund balance? So
Or
that we-
some
on
number,
paper,
or some number
that we decide
we
on
can
what?
keep track of
Operating
it.
expenses,
Is
summer
it more
expenses.
like, I mean, our fiscal year runs July to June, but is it more like our operating year runs September to September, September to August? Because we got our first
Our
check.
budget money is
We get our
is
first school
decided.
check in September.
Right,
Right.
but
So-
we're decided, it's October 1st, it's September 30th, October 1st, that's the school year's fiscal year, and we're a school district library, so that's when we get our money.
Right.
So, our own fiscal year is June 30th to July 1st to June 30th. So as of June 30th, the money we have left over, so we get money and we use it for 9 months, and then we have 3 months where we're kind of hanging in limbo, and we're using the money that we didn't use, and that's a fund balance. And we're lending it to ourselves to operate over the summer. Is that how you want it worded?
Because on August 15th,
Yes,
when we have spent half of those funds,
yes,
or most of those funds,
right.
we still have this fund balance.
Well, it-
Because
So-
we're gonna get it back in a month and a half anyhow.
Right, I follow.
It is a fund balance, it does belong.
So it
And-
belongs, it's kind of an overlap.
And I feel strongly that the trustees need to know that number, and it should not be cloaked in
So what do
mystery.
what you want is a line on here that says fund balance?
Yes,
And you want that to reflect the amount of money that we think will be left at June 30th? Because right now, starting right now, because we're not going to retro do this, starting right now for the November meeting, we will have the money that we've gotten from our first
Right.
check. So then we will have a rough idea of what our fund balance is going to be based on our expenses for the year,
And-
based on our fund balance from last year.
plus
And then
if
have a
we had
line
even the
here.
correct audit by then, it was promised in 4
Whatever.
weeks, but we might
Separate
have
topic,
been.
Frank. Stay on
Well,
topic.
I'm
All
there.
right, now
We
listen.
may have the results
Let
of
me
the
get through
audit.
this, Frank. You want a line on here that says fund balance, that says 276, whatever.
Yes, sir, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that's the amount of money we think is going to be left on June 30th, based on the money that was left this past June 30th.
Well, the only thing
No.
there is, right now, total expenses are 30,000 below, right?
Right.
Yeah,
And I assume income is pretty much on target. So the fund balance actually should be, at the moment, 276 plus the 30.
that we're under budget, you mean? So each month, the fund
the
balance
fund balance
changes
should be
based
growing
on
at a rate
the
of about-
under budget
yeah.
amount?
Unless there's
Well, the retirement we know is gonna be 10 or 11 grand more. than
Right,
what
so
we-
then 1 month we would have it be,
Just
it would
surprise me.
be 300, suppose
Yeah, in other
276
words,
plus
we
30.
we could do a running total of the, whatever it was of June 30th, and then at the end of July,
Right.
whatever the under budget is, we'll throw it in
Yeah,
there.
add it
Now
back
now
to-
it's 286.
Right.
Right,
so
but
you-
then when you have to make a big payment like.
Going the other way, right?
Right, going the
Yeah.
other way, do we
Yeah.
subtract then from the fund balance? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
So
at
that
this point,
we
we're not
arrive,
gonna be doing that. We probably won't be doing that from this point on.
no, what I'm saying is, if we're going to add the amount that we're under budget, and it's going to fluctuate every month what our fund balance is, it will reflect when we're over budget, and it will reflect 1 month we're 30,000 under budget, next month we're 5,000 over budget. So the fund balance will be different month to month.
I really don't think that that's a reasonable request, honestly. I think it should be just kept as a fund balance.
Just
and
the 3 months worth of income that
Well,
we,
I hate
don't
to call
spend
it
it.
3 months.
Well, I
worth
guess
of
in our
income.
minds then.
well,
we-
it's
the
roughly 3
leftover-
months of
The
worth of
surplus
operating.
money.
it's
But
the-
it works
it's-
out to be
it's the-
about that amount, which is
Yeah.
why I keep saying that, because it's about 3 months worth of operating expenses, roughly, minus about $75,000.
Well,
So what you're asking, why don't we just, for the sake of moving on with the meeting, we
I'm
start
sorry.
with, we put a line in here for the fund balance with,
And then in our own heads, we can add or subtract whatever this number is to that fund balance. I mean,
right, and
right
we
now
can
we're
just, that's
$30,000 under,
actually,
so
right,
fund
so
balance
that's
is up-
in, mentally, we
up
can
around
say, well, the
300,000
fund
now.
balance is 276, but there's a under 30 here, so it's roughly 306, right?
Right.
Okay,
But-
so why don't we do that for the November meeting, have the fund balance amount reflected in the balance sheet? Is that what you want?
yes, ma'am.
Right.
This
Now, is
fund-
this-
I mean,
Fund
it's
balance is
just
already
because
spoken
I
for, though.
wanted it.
It is already spoken for,
Well-
but it's a bookkeeping thing, and that's, I think, Frank's issue,
Well,
correct?
it's not really spoken for.
What is the well?
Well, it is
because-
kind of spoken for because by default we use it for operating expenses over the summer. Now, technically, we lend it to ourselves and then pay ourselves back when we get our money from the school district.
And I'm trying to prove that technicality.
Right, and you just want it on paper that that's what's going on. Right. So I'm asking Jack now, and I don't think this is a matter that has to be voted on, does it?
No,
No.
just a
So you
reporting.
go ahead and make an allowance for the fund balance for the November balance sheet, please.
Sure.
Thanks,
Okay.
Jack.
I'll just make like a separate box somewhere to throw it.
Yeah, I don't know how you.
Like I did with the loan, I just showed over
Right,
on the.
and we'll just put a line for. I don't know how it works because I've never took account. So we just fund balance. Something.
But I can't add it in
I thought it
there.
was
I
my
can't
check.
double it up to, the fund balance
got
plus
it.
the,
No, I got it. That's
Yeah.
fine.
right.
We'll figure it out, and then we'll do it, and then next month we'll look at it, and I'm sure they'll be
Right.
tweaking.
It's like cosmetic type things,
All right.
Well, is
Is
the
the-
is the concern that we're increasing our fund balance?
No,
every
the
year?
concern is we don't have any.
Well, we
We're not
should
keeping any
increase
track
it
of
every
it.
year.
We're also not keeping track of it. I think as part of the.
We should be, or we should
should be.
definitely should. Because I think we're using it, so we don't ever actually increase it. And in
We're
fact,
not using it. We're never
we are using
using
it.
it.
No.
Well, we're borrowing and then
from
putting it back.
and
We're
we're getting
borrowing
the
and we're
money
putting
from
it
the
back.
school right back.
So the point is, this is September. This is the balance sheet for September 30th, 2011. This $82,000 in cash should be less in September 30th, 2010. This cash amount right here should be
No.
less.
No.
No.
Mm-mm. No, it's
Actually, it should be
250,
greater.
and then we use it up and then put it back
If
each
all,
year. And every year we have.
So it doesn't. So that fund balance does not increase every year. That's what
so
that was.
far
what my
it
question was.
hasn't. Well, we
That was
also
what my
haven't
question
increased
was.
our budget every year, and our
Yeah.
costs
So
have been
we-
about
we
the
would-
same. So there would be no way to increase
we
it. And
wanna
we really do
strive
need
to.
to move on. This
Yeah,
is a
yeah.
really heavy meeting. There's a lot to do, and we've eaten half an hour with this.
sorry,
So
and thank
that's-
you.
You're welcome. Yes,
The number of the loan.
the number of the loan was, the loan balance is $314,655.15 as of October 3rd. Correct?
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Okay, profit and loss budget versus actual. Rock on, Jack.
It's under now, but remember, there's stuff that's still, there's an answer bill
We're a
out
month-
there.
we're a
There's
month into this.
the auditor bill for 5,000 is out there, so
Mm-hmm.
I could think of stuff that when it's in, it won't be that much under.
Mm-hmm.
But, and also you see September, it looks like we were under budget on our taxes by 575,000. It's just because we budgeted September and we got it October 3rd, so
Okay.
the next month it'll be in there. But the library charges are running pretty close to even, and that was at an ambitious number of 24,000 for the year. And I think there was a deposit on October 3rd that was September money, so if you added that in, we're doing pretty well there. The payroll through one quarter were 4,361 under budget through the first quarter. But a lot of that quarter was when we were closed Sunday, so that's probably gonna catch up a little
Right.
bit, but hopefully we'll be right on the button for the end of the year.
Okay.
The books are behind a little bit. I did a little bit of July and August the other day, but when that's entered, that'll be more current and up to date.
Was there a major increase in health insurance between
Yes.
July and August?
Yeah, every year when we renew, we've been getting pretty
It's
big,
going up.
right? I think last year that's why the board, you guys added more, a
Right,
little
we
more,
moved more money into that line.
right,
yeah.
to hopefully cover it. But fortunately, that line so far is working out okay. That we're a little under budget on that for now. But that always changes too when we get people, new hires that are on the insurance or not on the insurance. It could change the the number a little bit on that. The answer is a little bit over. I think we might be a little light on that number for the full year because there's another bill in there for 6,500. So at the end of the year, that should be pretty close. From last month's meeting, Bernie, remember that one number was off in miscellaneous expense? It's because it was something that wasn't properly broken out, and I reallocated it, and now that line is correct. So at the last meeting, I think there was a number that was like 2,000 or 3,000 that stood out. It was the hardware, right? It had been put in there and had to be allocated. Now it's been allocated.
Jack, every one of our program expenses is seriously over budget.
Wait, what happened?
Every one of them.
I don't know if that's because we didn't budget enough, or it's because we spread it evenly over 12 months for the programs, and they're just not
The expenses aren't coming in that way?
right. It could be a combination. It's probably mainly that we're put it evenly, and it's not really evenly because
Yeah,
it's
because
more
August is under.
right. August is under.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the programs were front ended at the beginning of the year, so that could explain part of that.
Okay.
So we gotta keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
And also, one little change in this report is at the bottom, I put the loan principal and interest. You see, I just have the spread there, so you can see how it's broken out.
Okay.
And each month, the interest is going down slightly. Although in August, you see, it was a little bit more. If there's a month with 31 days instead of 30 or whatever, it could change a little bit on how much interest expenses accrued. But other than that, we're pretty much doing pretty well, but there's still some bills out there that have to be paid. The last week and a half was really hectic with orders here a few days and everything, so, and, asking for paperwork and everything kind of got pulled out a lot, but more or less it worked for a pretty good start for the first quarter.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Jack? Frank, you used your question.
I used it up.
You used your question.
Sorry.
Okay, can I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report? Frank made that.
All right.
Second. Bernie, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, thank you very
Madam
much. Jack.
Chairperson, I cede my time to Frank.
We all do. I think we all see that our time to
I'm
Frank.
sorry.
Yeah.
Jack, thank you.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, good night.
Good night, Hannah. Thank you.
Yeah. Committee reports. You want to start with Ken?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Clock's ticking, Ken.
Okay, good evening. I'll be quick.
Talking about over budget, let's say hi to Ken.
What a welcome.
Yeah. No pressure.
Quality costs money. It's been a while since I spoke to you folks. I'm always busy doing rehearsals and setting things up, but really fast, Shakespeare in the Park was very successful. We did not get affected by the rainy weather. We had 4 excellent shows. It was a year, the entire year was a year we had to sit out from certain grants, just the way it works every other year. You have to sit down. The numbers were outstanding. The critical acclaim, the response from the audiences and the community was great. So the big hit there was the $1,200 or so that it cost us for the tent. Unable to get a sponsor for that this year, and again, we couldn't get any grant money, which will not happen next year. The Jazz Festival, we had a little bit of a hit. Big Dave's Barbecue closed, so we lost a vendor there. As a result, we lost a band. We picked up the Goshen Music Hall, so that worked out really nice, and we were able to get a local Goshen band, Nth Degree, to play there, so that worked out well. Again, we couldn't get any grant money, and we had kind of a double whammy. The 10th anniversary of 9/11, obviously, a lot of artists were previously engaged, and there were a lot of resources that went to other places for their festivals. We did not wrap our festival around 9/11 as we did that last year. It fell on that precise date. This year it was on September 10th. It seemed not appropriate to do that. One of the benefits we had this year, however, of the Jazz Festival is that we were picked up by 2 very prominent jazz websites who really liked what we're doing. And they're in constant contact with me and my partner who helps me with this, Chris Sullivan. They love the idea that someone's celebrating Willie Smith, that it has a historical basis in it, that there's an educational component to it. So we did everything we were supposed to do. Sponsorships this year, it was almost ridiculous to go ask a local merchant for a $50 or $100 sponsor while their basement was underwater. It just didn't seem right at all. So if it's a little bit over budget, that's probably a reason why. We actually took about 10 of us involved in the festival to help out New Street Tavern get some of the water out of there. She got swamped. All of Greenwich Street did, as you all know. You all live here, Greenwich Avenue. So this morning I talked with Ann. You folks will decide what happens with my contract. I believe it's up in a couple of months. But if my services are needed to move forward for the trivia, this is about when Ann and I have to start doing that. We're doing it on a county basis this time as opposed to a village. So I've done this before, and it takes a lot more work. We have to partner with other historians. We're looking to have some modern technology, utilize PowerPoint, some pictures, where was this, what is the original name of this building, that kind of thing. So I guess some folks let me know what's going on with that. I was just going to go full speed ahead. A big thing to share with you, which is only going to enhance the services that I can provide, is that I'm actively in the process of forming Cornerstone Arts Alliance. And it's a win-win-win for everybody. Right now, if you think of me as an independent contractor, I can bring to you the services that I can provide. And they are what they have been. With the birth of Cornerstone, there are more and more things that can be provided, everything that I've talked about in previous reports to you. Children's theater, puppetry, creative visual arts, things of that nature that will cost no more money to the library at all. Think of it as though you have someone who does the landscaping, and they just decided, you know what, I also can do the bushes now and I can clean the gutters. That's all I did, is enhance the services that I have. I have more resources now than I've had before, not the least of which is a space. So if we decide we want to get 100 kids to come and sit down and watch live actors do Pinocchio, we don't have to rent from the school. We don't have to ask anybody for anything. So it's something I've been working on and looking at. I've kept Matt totally abreast of the situation. It also offers great opportunities for shared partnerships in terms of getting financial resources for what we're going to do. We're a library. Cornerstone Arts Alliance is an arts organization. If we can prove that something like a Paul Robeson play has theatrical, thereby artistic value, and historical, thereby educational value, the monies that we can realize by partnering, filling out those forms and documents from foundations and grant awarding entities is phenomenal. So, and most of them, there's none of this sit out a year, hang in there a year. They want to see how many people are you going to touch. So if it's library-based, that's what they figure your demographic is. If the more you add into it, the better, the more partnerships you have, the better resources you get. It's the reason why Rotary partnered with Little League to partner with Joint Rec years back to make sure that they got playground sets over there at the park. It's just good business. I will entertain any questions you may have.
I was curious, what kind of advertising did you do for the our jazz festival? Because I was approached by more than one person who wanted to know why we didn't do it this year.
Well, yeah, the jazz festival this year was in the Go section, Access Cable TV, the Chronicle, the Indie. Now, when you advertise in the Chronicle, you get all of the Strauss weeklies.
Okay.
So we were in all of those. The web advertising we did was a lot of Facebook stuff. For example, Nth Degree has their own Facebook page. So we said, here's the information, go for it. And I think they brought in maybe 50 people or so. We didn't do any ad in the record. It just cost too much money. Sure. So we tried to keep it kind of grassroots. What we didn't have, which was probably just an oversight on my part, we did not utilize the library web page in any other fashion than announcing it. Now, we've always talked about other programs we do. It's interactive, right? You want to come see the Robeson play, you have to go up there, you have to sign in, and you have to go see it. So it behooves us to advertise the heck out of it. The more people we get, the better chance we have. This, when you're dealing with public venues, it's a little bit different because you have, first of all, a couple of them serve alcohol. So it is an adult-themed thing. We did not have it in the park this year, just simply because of the weather. Had we had it a main stage either in Church Park, which we've done in the past, or anything outdoors, then we advertise that part of it in a whole different way because now it's family oriented. There's nothing there except for hot chocolate and cookies. We didn't go that route, trying to keep costs somewhat in order. And again, we didn't have the grant money. A lot of most of these grants, they want to see a vast majority of the money go to the artist, but they want to see another chunk of it go to advertising, and it can't just be a press release in the record. So we did not give it the big bang we gave it 2 years ago. Again, because it was 9/11. It was very sensitive. We went on television with it. We knew we had 7 venues then. This year we got through with 4. But you know, it's funny too, because I had someone say to me that day, I didn't know about this. And I was in the middle of working and talking, and I said, well, where didn't you look? And the person looked at me and said, well, I didn't really look anywhere. I said, okay, so then you didn't look at the Chronicle or the Indy or the Record. I don't read those things. Well, short of me coming to your house and knocking on your door with a saxophone behind me, I don't know really what else I'm supposed to do. So we get those comments a lot, but even the ones I heard people next to that person say, what are you kidding me? It was on TVQ for the last month and a half. Well, I don't listen to TVQ. You know, so it's just something you deal with.
I think you're supposed to put a little notice in the final, I mean, we send a publication to every house in the school district in at least 3 towns that are covered here.
The newsletter.
And yes.
We're always in the newsletter. In this particular situation, because of everything that happened, as I recall, we simply went out of room.
I don't think it was totally Ken's fault. I think we just, we didn't.
Oh, so we got him out of the newsletter this year.
He wasn't in the newsletter.
Okay. I wanted to make sure you
But
were
we
aware
generally
of
do
that.
that, yeah.
Oh, we always, I demand space in the newsletter all the time. Yeah, that's a biggie for us. And Matt called me and said, you know, here's the way it went, pal. This is just what happened. So, but one of the things to keep in mind with this jazz festival is these venues foot the bill for the band. You know, so we orchestrate it and we organize it, and when there is that public part and there's that grant money, and you know, that's why it's a cultural project. But you look at a place like Big Dave's when they were around, or Mulaney's, whomever decides, we tell them, you have to kick in this much money for that band. And they've done it since day one. Now they have invested, you know, they have some skin in the game. So we are the longest running jazz festival in Orange County. That's not just an opinion, that's a fact. Most fizzle after 2 years. The first one, everybody's excited. The second one, they go, I've seen this before. And, you know, this was our 8th. So we're getting there. Yes, sir.
I can't remember when the last time you spoke to the board. Was it?
I think we were in rehearsals for Shakespeare.
I think that's right.
Okay. Did you report on the big band concert to the board?
No, because that would have been, the big band came after Shakespeare
Okay.
did.
So do you want to say anything about that?
I thought it was a great day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the band was incredible. The turnout was healthy. Again, all these outside things, as you know, it's weather. 2 summers ago, it was hot. This past summer was a beautiful night. The sponsors of the band were thanked. The friends were thanked. What's the Scoop was publicly thanked. So that's a long-running tradition that people seem to like, and it's a real family event, you know.
In regard to advertising on Jazz Festival, you know, for the big band, we have a banner that goes over the front of the library. I wondered if maybe we should have some other banners for these events. I don't know how expensive those banners are. I know the friends bought some numbers to change the date.
Yeah.
And it cost a few bucks. So.
Yeah, the initial cost of the banners is really, it's not a big deal because you can change the dates every single year.
Right.
And the reason that we never did that, you have to remember that the Jazz Fest was started by the Rotary. and then the library kind of took it over. So there were certain things that were working, not the least of which is that Dana Distributors does all the signage for free. That's their in-kind contribution. And sometimes it's a little delicate, the Jazz Festival, a cultural program project of the Goshen Public Library, Dana Distributors, and there's a big bottle of Budweiser right there. Well, that's a sensitive thing. So in years past, when we've had it in public places, they've been nice enough to make that a thing of water, because they also sell water, or an energy drink, because they also sell that.
Good move.
Yeah, I mean, it's just smart. This year they did our signage again, and we were running around not knowing. At the last minute, Howells backed out. The weather hit. We weren't sure if New Street was going to be in or out. They ended up being in. So we talked about this, me and my people who do this, that unlike big band concert and it's one day, are they going to be happy with, 10th annual Willie the Lion Smith Jazz Festival, which is to date? Because I can't start naming off 7 different bands at 8 different locations, which is the big sign that Kerry does make for us.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree, something that's generic can help. And I'm thinking the same thing for just Shakespeare in the Park,
Right,
and there's the dates. You don't need the details of
right,
what the show is,
right.
because now it's catching on. Building an audience is it's
And
It's,
just a
it takes time.
reminder for some people, they
yeah,
see it and, oh yeah.
that's right.
In the Shakespeare in the Park, most of the cast seemed to be from Monroe. The kids.
3.
You sure it wasn't? I thought it was more than 3. But anyway, it was a significant contingent of actors seemed to be from Monroe. I just wondered how that happened.
They gave really good auditions.
Yeah, they just. But I get, is the word spreading? Other kids who were in acting getting involved, or I just wondered.
Well, I didn't do it this year because it would have been redundant. It was very similar to the cast we had the year before, and each time I welcomed the audience, I wanted them to celebrate the idea of where these people came from.
Mm-hmm.
And I rattled off probably 7 communities, including Goshen,
Mm-hmm.
including an educator from Goshen. I had not done that last year, so I didn't want to do it again. But the breakdown, just right in my mind, you have 3 from Monroe, 2 from Middletown, 2 from Washingtonville, 3 from Goshen, and 1 from Warwick.
Mhm.
That was the
Okay.
breakdown. But it's open to all.
It's open to all. Okay.
Absolutely.
The trivia contest you mentioned, is that a library event? I thought it might have been a Friends event. I wasn't sure about
Yeah,
that.
it was the Friends. Yeah,
It-
There was a
Yeah.
Friends too.
Yeah, it was a Friends event. I just know I was told what I was going to do. So,
Yeah, I
that-
didn't think it was a library.
yeah, it was a Friends event, but I was, however you folks want to play it, I was told to help Ann research with Michelle and get questions, and I was going to MC
Okay,
it.
but
and
I
that's
think
it.
if you're, from a technical point of view, that's a separate. The Friends are a separate institution, corporate institution, and
So
your
negotiations for
anything you
that.
do for that event would be a volunteer role that you have, not as part of your job with us.
That's what I thought last year until I was told differently.
Well,
So,
I
but
think-
I'll gladly do it, but that's,
well,
however you folks decide to play that.
I think we had no authority over that. This board has no authority over that Friends event.
Mhm.
Any money that event raises goes into the Friends budget, which of course is going to ultimately support the library.
Mhm.
So I don't think it's. I think you should understand. You're a volunteer if you work on that event. You don't have to work on that event as an employee, as a contract employee of the library.
Well, it worked out. See, in terms of and this is something else that can be changed now, we were always locked into the calendar of what buildings were available.
Right.
And that's when I knew I had to start the process for each project that I was doing. I don't know if I told Matt or if I told Tiffany or whomever, it seemed silly that if my contract was going to start on, let's say, January 1st, that I wouldn't take a good chunk of January and work on something very productive. So that's how I get paid. I get paid X amount twice a month. So even if, that's just the way that worked out last year. But if that's a wrinkle that has to be ironed, so be it. Because I will be starting with the educational theater program and now the other programs that I'm very interested in.
Mm-hmm.
in bringing to the library. So, you know,
And just finally, Ed Connor with the Friends is trying to get a puppetry event. So since you mentioned that, maybe you should talk to Ed
Mhm.
McCall.
Any other questions for Ken? Okay, well, thank
That's
you.
it?
That's
Okay.
it.
All
Thank
right.
you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Ken.
Good night.
Okay, any other committee reports? Physical resources, community resources? There's
Physical
something here for-
resources, everything is,
Right, it's all in the director's
Yeah.
report, okay,
That's-
that's redundant. There's a line here for the Friends, is there something you wanted to share with us?
I'm trying to think of anything. I can't think of anything at the moment, other than the Friends are waiting for basically some direction from the board as to what they might do. There was some talk about maybe getting a generator
Right,
as a backup or as part of the, to prevent this thing from happening in the future so that the pumps come on even if the power goes off.
right,
Maybe the Friends can help with that. So I guess it would depend upon how much money we get from the state.
Right.
And if there's a gap, the Friends would like to step in and do
Okay.
something.
okay.
Friends are very profitable. It's a really nice
They're
balance that
handy
they have.
Yes.
Well, we started with about 4,500 that was there, and then it's grown.
It's 14,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
great.
It's more than a PTO.
We spent about 5.
I hope the trivia event happens
on.
because I know we
Yeah, we
went
had a good
and
time.
That was great,
We had
yeah.
a fabulous time.
Yeah.
It was just a great evening. So I hope that event happens again.
Okay.
Jim, the Friends have made in the last year, and I think mostly in the last budget year, the Friends did make contributions to the library for shelving, if I remember, in this
I
room.
think it's almost $5,000. I think we spent.
None of that has ever showed up in our balance sheet.
It shows
Oh,
up
if
as
you
gifts or
donate-
something.
Of
I don't
course,
think
well,
it showed up in gifts.
Oh, I thought it
I
did.
think some of the shelves, for example, the shelves that are out there, we bought the lumber, and Jim Levitt made it, and it shows up because it was carried in and placed there. It never went through the business office because the business office didn't, the library didn't spend any money.
Right, so.
Well, if you donated money to us and
We made a contribution.
no, I mean, this is
for
part of
the
a
summer.
bigger question because
no,
I was
you're-
going to
you're-
address Matt later when he made his report because, like, Michelle collected a $500 check last Friday
Right,
at the breakfast, and I don't know if that was made out to Michelle or the library. We have talked about grants, receiving grants. We have talked about getting money from the Friends for various things, and to my knowledge, none of that has shown up in our balance sheet. It would be, and actually it would be an event that would, if it showed in our balance sheet, would inflate both our income and our expenses. It would cause an adjustment because there'd be off-budget expenses, but it's got to show up somewhere.
well, if it's a physical gift.
Yeah, that's
If,
different.
I donate books to the library all the time,
They
that
don't
doesn't
show
show up in the balance sheet because they're books.
Right.
And, I mean, I have books that are practically brand new that the library needs to replace on their shelves, I just give them my copy of the book.
This is goods and services.
It's just goods and it's not,
Yeah,
It's not a
the
cash.
Friends bought that machine that's out there for reading
Microphone.
microfilm.
Microphone, well,
That was like 1,800 or something. So
A good deal.
the machine
It was
gets
$6
carried in and
grand when
placed
we
there.
looked.
but
yeah, right,
it
it's not like the Friends said, here's 1,800, buy yourself a microfilm
so
machine.
they're buying us
They
a
buy the machine and put the
I
machine
mean,
in the
there's
library.
no problem.
Yeah.
I'm-
No,
But
I know, you
it's
just
a
wanna
good
know how
question.
the
There was
accounting
money that
works,
was, I assume, given to Jack for this summer reading program. I think 1,500.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know where that would appear. That's his question.
Okay.
Where,
Right,
where
I
does
would
that
guess
show
that
up?
shows
That
up
never
as
shows
the
up.
grants.
Program or youth or something.
The grants.
Right,
See-
but as income, it's not property tax, I'm assuming it would show up as other grants or something
In
like
the other
that.
grants
We
area,
used
there
to have a
was.
summer reading program line on here way back when.
But that as an income or is this?
Right,
that's
if the
a good-
income at the top, it would just,
But he's asking,
Down
does
there.
it-
Right, no,
does
I know,
it-
but
does
it
it
would-
show, that would be the expense.
That would be the
Right.
expense
Right,
along the top.
so-
I would assume it goes
But
under
maybe
other
it's
grants
part
or
of the,
gifts,
um,
or should we put a line up for gifts?
I mean,
We did have
the-
that.
Well, we
Yeah,
have-
we did. I
We
thought we
did
did,
because
but
there
it's
was
not
a
here right now.
gentleman. There was a gentleman in town who passed away, and,
And
there
left
were
us.
there were
Right.
gifts that were made in his memory.
Yes,
I
and
remember
that,
seeing
I
that.
remember seeing that in
Yeah.
the, I think if it's, I think he writes this up if there weren't any gifts, it just doesn't show up on our sheet.
Mm.
I think that's more likely what
Oh,
they.
the fees that we put on for request for genealogy, I was gonna say gynecology.
We really are a full
Yeah, we
service
did.
library.
Put that on the mission and value.
There you go.
I'm
right.
sorry.
That's
On the
okay.
genealogy
painting
of
with
search, you were supposed to have that added to our income, and it never shows up
Where would that be, the fees?
on income.
This,
It would be
So-
on income, library charges.
Library charges, probably.
Right, that's
Yeah,
library charges, the
That-
fees.
Is
It's right
that
here.
in-
there already.
Income,
Yeah,
library
there's a
charges.
library charges line.
Those are
I think
our
it's a
fees
catch-all
for-
phrase.
It's not a broken.
No, it's
Expensive
income.
or-
It's
I-
income.
I guess we better check that
I'll go
one.
and check
with-
with Jeff.
Yeah, that's fine, but that's an income line, and that's okay.
Sorry, thank you.
That's
ma'am.
fine. Now, right. I'm watching you. Come on. Director's report. You're up, buddy. Our basement restoration
Yeah, well,
update.
I'll get you up to speed on that. So far, the sump pump has been put in, and pipe that used to go from well, it still goes from the sump pump in Danny's office to the slop sink now goes out the back wall. So that's been done.
Where does the other,
It comes
the
right
new
back.
sump pump?
The
I
new
know, that's
sump
what I
pump's in the
was gonna
hole
say.
in the
Right,
hole.
and where
in
does that
the-
hose go?
That goes
Through the bathroom or
I
something?
think through the bathroom too. I haven't seen it actually. I know it's finished. They told me I haven't been down there.
They made a
since
point
Friday.
of even go outside.
Right,
Um,
that's great.
Yeah.
Is there a lower point outside than that?
Or, yeah, our neighbor's basement.
We're on film, you know. Sure.
Well, wherever is lower than we are, that's where it goes.
That's where right,
That's
gravity
not our
and all
problem,
that.
that's not
yeah.
our fault.
Right.
the let's see where they put the they brought the drywall in. I don't know why they're going to start it tomorrow. They were supposed to start this weekend, but there was something came up, and I think the floor should be put in the day after. So I'm hoping this
Great.
weekend they're going to get a lot of this back together. That's about it. That's about the status of the downstairs.
So if someone walks in there, it's gonna look basically the way it used to look.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
There'd
they're
be
not going to have the
nothing-
paneling
We
anymore.
didn't knock out the
Yeah,
wall.
we're not
Right,
gonna
but I
have
mean,
that.
there's
no,
no-
the structure is
They
exactly
didn't
the
choose
same.
to rearrange any bookshelves or anything,
No,
that was
no,
it.
right.
Okay.
It's just cosmetic.
Yeah, the floor will be a different color, right? The
Right.
blue, and then
Yeah.
where we had carpeting in the J room is now going to be a pergo floor.
Right.
Right, and it's going to be sheetrock instead of paneling.
Great,
And that's
so
pretty
it should
much
be
it, right?
lighter and brighter.
Yeah, right.
They're
And
gonna
now we can put a
replace-
nice coat of paint on it. And
They're replacing the what's you call it, the vanity in the bathroom and the cupboards in the kitchen as well, because they're all swollen from the water and
sure.
we couldn't really clean them. We keep pushing them. No, I'm not pushing them, but urging them to speed the process up because, of course, we're down at Jerry's place in the interim, and they're hesitant on saying exactly when it will be done, but they hope by say around the 20th or so of October is the closest I can pin them down to. So we'll see. We finally got a utility pump. I mentioned that's Danny has rigged up. Whenever it looks like whenever it's threatening rain, he chains it down to the back. To that stairwell at the meeting room. And it worked last time. I don't know how much rain, how deep it was getting, but it kicks on it senses the rainwater after a quarter inch. It just kicks on, and then it turns off and kicks on again. So it's sort of this automatic thing, and you can just leave it out there unattended. But he's got it chained so the kids don't rip it out the wall.
The big market.
High
for
demand.
those.
Those in iPhones.
Yeah, right. And those sneakers those kids wear.
They love their auxiliary pumps.
Yeah, you know.
There's an app for that.
Probably is.
There's an app for everything.
Yeah, really.
We submitted all the FEMA paperwork, and I faxed it in a couple of weeks ago now, I guess, and I checked back with them just to make sure that they had it all, and we're on the registry, the list, or whatever they call it. So I haven't heard back from them, but I know that they have everything in place. I know that they, so at least we did our part of it. Seems like we didn't miss any deadlines. We did receive $1,000 from the New York Council for the Humanities. I guess we're gonna have to find a way to thank them for actually to cover overtime expenses or to cover
Right.
Nice.
personnel expenses and cleanup. So that was very generous of them. And of course, you see that Michelle was awarded another $500 for her program at RCLS.
Did that go to Michelle or to
I
the
didn't
library?
even see the check actually, so I haven't spoken to her really since then. I'll check for you. I'm fairly sure it's the library.
Right. We'd put that, I'll get that for children's programs, I
Right,
guess.
yeah.
Right.
You see all this business about the symphony. We're getting closer and closer here to the go live date with this new. It's actually the same company. It's just a supported product. The other product's falling out of support, and I don't know. There's lots of consternation surrounding the training process. I've never been through one of these. It's December 5th through December 8th.
Who's going to be the trainer?
Well, we have David Maloney's been trained, Linda Peterson, head of circulation, Eleanor Coons has been trained, Michelle. I believe that's all so far. And we're going to have David set something up back here probably to help train other people, other staff members as time permits. I don't know, the last time I guess they went through this, it was traumatic because it seems like the people that have been in RCLS for a while are like shaking their shoes about this. I've never been through I can't imagine. I mean, it seems to me, that these systems, every generation is easier to use, and people are more used to computers than they were 10 years ago. When so I don't think it's going to be as bad as it was last time. But maybe I'm just. You notice that you can pay fines with PayPal, which is a nice feature. Still don't quite understand the intricacies as to how that all works, because RCLS gets the money and then redistributes it, and I'll have to look into that further,
Do they
but
pay
they
the
deal
fees?
with it, yeah.
They pay the fees
I
to
think
PayPal?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, okay.
The biggest thing I think is this may cause some difficulty with patrons. It's the system's set up in such a way that it bars users from outside of your constituency from taking out new items for a certain period of time. Right now, you can place a hold like from here to Monroe, unless I set a rule on the catalog, and I can pick that item up even if it's new before maybe a Monroe person gets it. This sets it up so each the library patrons, the taxpayers for that particular library, get first dibs on, and that has to really less to do with the philosophy actually than it has to do with just the way the system works, because it's bound to another rule, and I won't go into the details, but that's the upshot. So we'll probably have some out-of-district people unhappy with it, but it's set up really in favor of the local constituency so that they get, and I think it's good. I think it's fair and right. So even if there's some people that are unhappy with it in the long run, I think it's the right thing to do. Friends hosted an antique appraisal fair I mentioned here, which was I was surprised actually. It was better attended than I expected. I didn't, I wasn't sure if the word had gotten out, but there was quite a few people showed up, and they made a few $100s and seemed to have a lot of fun. There was a lot of conversation. It was, it was a nice social event. It seemed like, and people obviously had the shared interest of their history, and a few of the items apparently were worth like multi-thousands of dollars.
There was a fireplace screen of some sort. It was so large the guy left it in the car. And when he described it, the appraiser jumped up and ran out to the parking lot. I think it was worth $5,000 to $10,000.
Wow.
Yeah, there's some pretty nice, interesting stuff. Well, the book sale didn't work out. We lugged books over, hoping that maybe we could make a little money on the side, but they were ignored. People went beeline right for the appraisers or their friends, But live and learn. Here, okay. The variance request was submitted. I haven't heard anything from RCLS. It's probably a good thing.
So far so good.
So far so good. I believe that's it. always seems like so. The month always seems so much more busy than the report really gets across, but those are the main points.
Yes?
You have that they're putting $500 more towards the ongoing digitization project. What are they digitizing?
That's
What's that project?
the Independent. The Goshen Independent paper.
The newspaper.
Okay.
We've been
Our
doing that for a while.
archives.
That used to be actually funded by the town, I believe, or the village, and then they dropped it.
Well, what are we doing here? Where somebody here is scanning?
No, we
all the
actually
news, or-
Anne collects them as they come in, and once a year we send a year's worth to advanced micrographics in Port Ewan, and then now we used to just microfilm it. Now we're microfilming it for posterity and digitizing it. So there's a copy that you can just look at, search online, and the other one is basically for storage or for someone that wants to use the microfilm.
So how far back do you have it digitized?
What they're doing is, there's not enough money right at the moment to go
Do
all the way
everything,
back
the whole
to mid-1800s, whenever it was that paper started.
Yeah.
But so they're taking critical periods. They're using warriors, for example, like World War I. That spanned World War II, and anything that they think is particularly of interest to people more so than other years. And those are the ones that they're sending initially to be made into CDs, I guess they are.
Right.
Huh.
While we continue to keep, the most recent years are also done. So it goes from probably, right now 2010 on back. We also have the Goshen Democrat, which is not a paper that's in.
Have you checked with the County Historical Society on that? As we talked a number of months ago that they would digitize obits from. They have been. There was an ongoing thing of digitizing it. They had two people full time doing it, and
in-house they're doing.
Yes, and before they.
Just obits.
Before
or the
they,
whole, I think just
as far as I know, it was obits.
Okay.
I thought we talked about this, and Sly had even offered copies. I don't know how long. I didn't have enough knowledge of the product to ask her how long. And Sly's retired.
Well, they gave us let's see, that was probably a year ago or so. He gave us a digitized copy of obits from the record that they were doing the record. Times Herald record.
Maybe the record.
That we have. That he gave. Like maybe that came out of that conversation.
And I don't know how long that goes or how far it goes.
We're doing the Independent, but I guess I can always. I mean, now they have a new Cornelia Bush. I guess I could speak with her or have Ann speak with her. She was there just recently, a couple days ago, and just see if we're overlapping anywhere or if there's some place that I don't believe so, but it's a possibility. I do know that was their major push, was to get the record done.
And if they were still offering to give a copy of that, maybe we can.
I mean, I know if it's been updated, and I'm sure it probably has, because that was about a year ago or so that I had, a copy that they were, the most recent version of it. But I'll check with Ann on Thursday.
I'm sorry for steering that conversation, but I think it was relevant. One question, if I might ask, about the children's programs, and I know you probably aren't sitting on that with enough problems. We obviously have very poor attendance because we don't know where we're going from, what these numbers are, where we've been. I am totally surprised that the Tuesday 6 p.m. children's thing, which is Martha Speaks, I have no idea what that is, but that was the largest attendee. And I'm shocked at the time frame. Is this something meaningful that we have a children's program that outdraws the 10:30, 11:30, 9:30, 8 and 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock program by 100% for a 6 o'clock program?
That probably has more to do with the school day and children being in school during the day. And I'm not sure what Martha Speaks is, but
that's what I was going to ask, if this might be a teen program.
It might be an older children's.
But she doesn't do teens, does she?
No.
What Kitty does, Kitty's under Michelle, so I'm not sure either what Martha's set up as.
But I think that's an important fact, that if we're getting a heavy draw program at 6 o'clock in the evening, maybe we should stop thinking about these
Well,
1 o'clock or 11 o'clock or 9:30
the other ones all had
program.
nine people in them. The We Read had 9, the Title Time had 9.
Well, there's
One
lowest
day, 7
one
the
has-
next, okay, 9 the
Right,
next.
and I mean, this is, the reason I think it's older children is because it's at 6 p.m. The little kids are all in the morning.
And sports are done by then.
Right, and sports are done by then, school's out by then. So
And they can
it's
do
little
sports and
kids,
get here.
Yeah.
and it's getting, getting mommy to bring the little ones in. And getting the little ones to behave.
I mean, I thought that there might just be a trend that
I think it just has more to do with these are probably like
single
the,
moms or something.
well, it's probably the kids. It's probably middle school kids. Is probably what that is. A 6 p.m. thing is not for little children. It would be 10, 12-year-old girls or
So I
boys.
could get an answer tomorrow to somebody. And
Yeah,
should we report back since we've asked the question, or does anybody care?
As
Well,
much as
he
you
doesn't
can.
care.
It's interesting.
I just
It's
think it's
interesting. No,
important
it's
that
interesting, yeah.
if there's a,
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
6
Michelle's
p.m.
done
gets
such a
the
stellar
biggest-
job with the children's programs that I just defer to her judgment on these things. If she thinks this is a worthwhile program, she's probably right. She's an award-winning children's presenter.
she is.
She is.
I saw her
We're
get
all
it
there,
too.
yes.
That should make
Okay.
it to the next,
Thank you,
in the
sir.
next newsletter.
Okay.
yes,
Yes,
definitely.
absolutely. All right. You done
I think
that?
that's it.
All right, thank you. Okay, unfinished business. This is quick.
Okay.
This is regarding our business plan. So if you just take one and pass it around. And this is also, take one and pass it around. This is for the next meeting. Homework.
Homework.
Did we have,
Yeah, it's really, we're gonna vote on that in a little bit.
this is,
That's the mission statement that we chose last time, and we have to actually vote on it and accept
oh,
it.
was a little more meat.
I thought it was too.
Yes, I don't
Which
think
is the other thing, I don't think that's it. I
No.
think there's more to it, but I don't have my notes.
this-
I was hoping, oh, see? Do you have the actual wording that we came up with? Because this
Oh, I
seems
didn't bring
vague.
it, but it's longer than that.
Yeah.
It
Yes,
is,
I
right.
think this
There
is the
there
old
was
one.
a.
We added on to the, who has their binder, because we crossed out a couple words and
Yes,
just
the
added this to
executive
that.
summary Was what was added on.
No, it was.
No.
No,
The
the whole
mission of the
mission
Goshen
statement
Public
was two
Library.
long
Yes,
sentences,
yes,
and that's
yes.
not it.
If I can
They
make a
began with the
statement,
mission.
another statement.
1 second, Frank. Let's just
That's
stay
your
on
mission?
topic with this for the moment.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Bernie, do you have your book with the mission statement in it? Because we
Yes,
just
I'll
added
pass
this
this
to
around.
that.
Yeah, here you go. You need one of these?
But I'm
There's
talking
two
about
of
that
them.
now.
There's one for
You-
adults and one for children.
Here you go.
Did you get?
There's two
I
of
gave her
them.
one of
Let me
those.
see what I got.
I gave her one of those, and
Children,
then there's another.
Yeah.
Goshen Public
There's adults and
Schools.
children.
Yes,
Yeah, it's our mission statement.
everybody have one of these.
It should be right in the
Ask
front.
Carol.
Yeah, Carol needs one of
Carol
those.
needs one of those.
Children one,
Yeah,
you know
that's it.
how to help them find out.
Right.
I don't
Is
have
that
any-
extra?
We already did
Try
all
this.
this.
It's right in the front.
Yes,
It's like that paragraph, it says our mission.
Isn't left over.
And now they already changed.
Mission
No,
statement.
we haven't changed
No,
anything.
no, we
just-
changed the mission statement
Yes, it's
during
not
our
this.
meeting, and this is not what we changed it to.
Oh, here it is.
Thank you.
Genius.
There you go, you have the
The
job.
mission is not what's
Thank
happening.
you. Okay, we changed the mission statement.
I found it, never mind.
Okay, the mission of the Goshen Public Library is to provide and promote open and equal access to the ideas, resources, and services of the library in order to meet the informational, educational, and cultural needs of the community. The library, we left that, we're leaving those, right?
Seeks to encourage.
Yeah, okay. Seeks to encourage reading and the use of technology for lifelong learning and the enhancement of the individual's quality of life.
Wow.
Oh, we changed seeks to strives. Is
I
that
think
what we
that's,
said?
yeah, I
Okay,
paragraphed
so
those.
that's right. That's why I knew
Yeah,
that was
I-
an editor
Yeah,
thing and I
my
couldn't
notes
remember what it
had-
was. Okay,
No,
See
it's
the
all
sheet?
this.
okay.
Yeah,
So
but
here's,
May have,
yes. Is that okay?
Yeah, I need it back.
Okay. All right. So,
Because I'm the only one that wrote my
All right.
notes.
so okay. Why don't?
can we discuss that after the meeting and
Um,
then?
Oh.
Maybe you have a copy machine?
Don't we have a copy?
Yeah, we have a copy machine somewhere, right? So we could just, I'm gonna read it again, and we're going to vote whether or not to accept it, okay? And then we can, get on with the next thing, and then we can deal with the bookkeeping aspects of it later, Carol?
Okay.
All right.
Is that the item you're gonna jump to?
That's what we had,
Oh, what is that on here?
yeah, the further conversation, oh, I'm sorry, you're right, we're ahead of ourselves. The further conversation on the business plan was the paperwork that I just handed out.
That's
And
for
you're
next
right, the
meeting.
mission statement is under new business, my mistake
There,
there.
there were two handouts for us.
There were two
to
handouts,
review.
one for, I'm
Adult
totally
and
lost my,
Present services.
present
and-
services and one for children's services.
Okay.
Okay, now when we had our meeting about the business plan, the next step was to outline what it is we actually do. So Matt put together the present services for adults and Michelle and her staff put together the other one. So we can go over this at our next meeting. Everybody take a look at it between now and then. We'll spend 10 minutes on it at the next meeting. I think, paring it down or plussing it up however you see fit. And then we can include that in our business plan and move on to the next step of it, okay?
Okay.
Real quick, the information that Matt offered us to give us round ideas of what he thought. Speaking for myself, I am delighted that he sent this after the last meeting.
Yes.
Because if he had sent it prior to the last meeting, I would have voted at the last meeting to double the increase that we gave him. I was so impressed and
Yes.
Well, you can open a
I
motion to go
showed
back.
Well, we could
I
always raise,
showed
excuse
it
me,
to
raise
my
whatever you want.
bride and she was delighted and we were both extremely impressed. It was delightfully done
And I
and
showed it to my
and
group,
very
and he was
informative.
impressed.
Okay. All right, but why did I write that? What were we just talking about?
it
Library
was
subject to
Frank.
local
Frank's-
zoning
local
laws.
zoning.
Zoning laws
Oh, the
for
local
Frank.
zoning laws for Frank, right, thank you.
Frank.
Okay, so we are done with the business plan for the moment. If you would just bring those papers back with you with your notes on them next meeting, that would be fantastic. Okay, Frank, you and your local zoning, that's the
I have been-
unfinished business.
Arguing for a number of years that the library is a taxing authority and is not
Good job.
subject to the local municipalities' laws. In stumbling through the library law, he did come up with a ruling by the controller of the state of New York dated July 18, 1951, stating that public libraries are not required to obtain a building permit as provided for under town building codes.
Okay,
We do not have to go to the village or the building, what they call building inspector to get permission any more than the school district.
for what?
To any changes that, we were talking, just putting the light outside. We ran out and got the town, and if you go to the building inspector and ask him, am I subject to your rules?
He's
He
gonna
will
say
tell
yes.
you yes.
Right,
If you went to the building inspector of the town of Montgomery and said, hey, I represent the Goshen, as I did, and say, I represent the Goshen Library, are we subject to the rules of the town inspector? And he would say, no.
I'm wondering if it's not more of a library thing than a historical building thing.
It's neither.
Because
It's
we
a
have the historical
governmental
stuff we have to
unit.
stay with.
We
It's a
aren't actually
governmental
historical
unit.
building
And one
registered.
government cannot tax another government in this state.
So you're saying we operate independent from the town?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And we are not subject to.
And this is for our information, is the reason?
And maybe what I'm saying is that I request that we prove that point by asking our attorney.
Well, every time we ask our attorney something, it costs us money. And since we don't actually, this isn't a pressing issue where we are wondering, do we call the town or not? I
How
don't
much
see
is it
that.
cost? I'll pay for that one.
$70, I think.
Yeah, I
Well-
actually don't know what it costs to talk to him, but I don't.
Well, he would research it, and the amount of time he spends researching.
Right,
is what it's
exactly,
gonna
and he gets
cost.
however
I
many
could give
billable
him-
hours.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
give him
it's,
the-
The
you know what,
problem
Frank?
is you got different different. Let me look at this for 1 second. This was the decision of
The controller.
the
controller.
controller.
Most
Right.
All right,
library
the
laws.
1951 controller.
Right,
The 1958 controller
Said
may
something
have had a
different.
different
Right,
version.
and the most,
And then another law may have been passed in 1967,
and the
which
most recent
implies,
case law on this
and
could be
then-
from
so
2004.
this could be
and-
4 or 5 hours of legal
right,
research.
just to satisfy our curiosity.
But yeah, is
I
there,
think
is there a
if-
problem?
No,
Have
that's
we
what I
tried to
mean.
do something and
That's
not
just
been able
what,
to
that's
do
what
it?
I'm saying.
There's
If
an
we
advantage.
decide to put an add on to the library, build a third floor, something like that, and then the issue comes up, I think that yes, we should involve our attorney before we proceed with it. But I think until that time, this is just
Well,
curiosity.
I think we should go back to the town attorney, the town, and ask for the fees that we paid for the building permit back
What fees did we
last
pay?
year.
Well,
We
paid
paid
for
a
building?
building for,
$75 or something?
yes.
For what?
We don't have $75 to give somebody with we bought a building permit.
Yeah, I think that, I
Well,
think the,
We don't have to do that.
I know, but I appreciate where you're coming from, and you probably are right.
I am right.
Okay, but it's gonna, here's the thing, Frank, you're proposing we spend $500 to get our
to get
attorney
back
to
to-
find out whether or not we should get our $75 back. That's a little silly. And I think that you might be right, and, but I think the point's kinda moot, cause it's really it's a non-issue. It would cost us more money than it's worth to find out whether or not to get our $75 back.
We're
In the
involved in that thing
future.
downstairs right now.
Yes, but the thing downstairs doesn't involve a building permit, it doesn't involve, we had to get the health inspector involved simply because we had to be able to
We're
make
not
sure we
making
were.
changes.
Right, and we're not making actual changes to the building that would involve the building inspector if this had been a private home or another kind of business. So I don't think this is really an issue worth spending the money and involving our attorney on. But should the need arise in the future, it's a valid point. And should the need arise in the future where we might find ourselves needing the building inspector that time, we should then involve our attorney, okay?
And the other thing is that I don't think we should look at the building inspector necessarily as some sort of evil figure.
No, not
The
necessarily.
building
no.
inspector is working on, out of a base of standards
Sure,
that deal with things like safety and
Right.
durability.
right.
And, you know, if we hire a contractor to do something, if he knows there's no building inspector coming around,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
he just got to worry about his knowledge
Right.
of
My
construction.
That's right.
You know, he may cut a few corners.
I mean, I agree that we can ask him to come in and help us. Just like,
But
If
you-
he
it
has a
sticks in your
problem, he
craw
can
that
come
we
in
paid
and we'll help him.
$75
But I doubt if
last
he's
year,
gonna
That's what it comes to.
Come in and help us if he has no authority. I mean, he's
Right,
got, he's got
but-
better things to do, I would think. in this respect.
A good neighbor friendship, you know.
Yeah, for
go
that
back to
seven, this,
$75.
I think we should write off that $75 and just,
The tax write-off.
yeah, from here forward, yeah, right. We'll deduct it from our taxes this year. And just from here on in, keep it in mind should the need arise for the building inspector. And
We'll put Frank on it.
there we go, we'll put Frank on it. All right? Satisfied?
delightful.
All right. Now, action item. The RCLS budget votes. If we vote no, what does this say?
Yeah, this
If
is
we vote no, we don't get books delivered. That's basically what it comes down to. Am I right about that?
right.
That's the right. So
What was it, $600 additional?
No.
or-
it's every book. Here's the thing. We went to the legislative breakfast on Friday, and it's kind of infuriating. But the state is supposed to give a certain percentage of the budget to libraries across the state, and it doesn't do it. And every year it passes laws that, notwithstanding the fact that we're legally obligated to do this, we're not gonna. So they keep cutting the amount of money that they give to libraries, and for the first time in 45 years, we now have to pay a fee to be part of RCLS. So it is a $750 per library fee, that's the flat rate fee. On top of that, there's a $600-something fee for this particular library. Other libraries that are bigger with a larger budget and whatever pay even more than that. But every library is paying $750 plus a nominal fee depending on the size of the library and your population. So doing that, what do we get in benefit for doing that?
Well, I mean, you mean in paying the fee?
Right, we pay the fee and the fee gets us.
It gets, well, basically ILL delivery. That's the
Right.
main thing.
That's the big thing. The interlibrary loan delivery system, if we don't pay the fee, we don't get that. So then we become an island of our own. And the only books that will be available are the ones we're willing to go pick up or the
We
ones.
hire somebody.
There you go. And I think that'll be
Pay their health,
significantly
everything
more
Pay them
than
health, retirement.
yeah,
and
right.
gas.
$13
Car
or
insurance.
$1,400 a year
insurance.
that they're proposing we pay. So
Didn't we figure already that the numbers that, what,
Yeah, we just.
Yeah, we
Oh,
did.
no,
If we
We did.
didn't do this,
Yeah,
and
right, it
we
wasn't
gotta
worth
pay
it. We
for
did,
all.
but if for, just to
came
bring
out the
everybody
same.
up to speed, because we now have to vote on this, I wanted to make sure everybody remembered what we were doing and what we were up to. So, I'm going to make a motion to submit an affirmative vote to the RCLS 2012 budget vote request.
Well, we should make the motion. Right?
I haven't a clue, I was given this that I'm
Let's-
supposed to do it. What? And then someone is supposed to make the motion, and then someone, all right.
Yeah.
I'm
That's just
asking,
your
I'm
verbiage.
asking for a motion
Okay.
to submit an affirmative
I'll
vote. Someone
move.
has to make the motion, someone has to second it, my mistake.
Second.
Okay, Jim motioned, Norma seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. All right, now the direct access vote.
He did,
No.
yeah,
No, I didn't vote,
he-
no, I
he-
did not,
You
I
did-
did not.
He
Oh.
just,
He gestured.
It went
He
by
didn't-
so fast, I didn't.
yeah or nay, Frank?
I'm with
No, he's
it, I'm
in.
with
Frank's
you.
in. Yeah, I
Okay.
thought so.
My
So-
friend, I gotta keep my friend
That's
Robert
right, Robert
Hobson
Hobson,
over
there you go. You want him to give you
And
some
hair
scrambled
gel.
eggs next year.
Somebody's gotta pay for his hair gel.
Okay, so now the direct access.
Just to insult everybody.
Yeah, you were gonna explain it,
Why
because I
not?
didn't get it.
There's a
Okay.
guy who comes in here and tells us that Starbucks stinks and these
Now,
are,
this is for the direct access vote. This means that if you live in the service area,
Right.
and like, there are people in Goshen who they're in the town of Goshen who got it's not disenfranchised, but got cut out of library service when we became a school district library, but we still owe them library service. And then like we have a deal with Where We're Yonder when we did, and we would give them cards, and then they would. Direct access means that they then have the right to use any library in the system, and we all vote on this, and we all agree to it that you have a card, you get access, and this is something that you vote on every 5 years. I think the way we understood it was that it's just a reminder that yes, you do have to take the card from another library in the system.
It's a
That's pretty much
reciprocal.
what it is. It's just that we're all in agreement that yes, we will honor cards from other libraries in the RCLS system. That's what the direct access vote is. So I'm asking for a motion to submit an affirmative vote. Okay, Frank motion.
I second.
Keith second. All in favor?
Aye.
Is that everybody? Okay, we're all on board with that one too. Thank you. Yeah, that was easy. All right. Now, we're going to move to Bros to the,
John
Right.
Bruin collection.
yes, the John Bruin collection. Matt, you're up.
This, Anne, you know about this?
No, I was wondering why you had a pink book.
Yes,
We have
now
about
you'll find out. The
20 or
mystery will
30
be
of
It's his
solved.
scrapbook.
These are,
Yeah, these
John
are-
Bruin gave these to us.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And he just says, well, here's the question. They seem primarily to have to do with the historic track, and it doesn't get any use here. I think it's Judy Green, do you know?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Has asked that has brought up the possibility of us donating these to their, since it fits their mission better and it's kind of more, within their purview. I know it's always hard to give up anything, any kind of collection that you have, but I will say that in the 6 years I've been here, I don't think I've ever been asked about these, because they possibly because they languish in the basement, but possibly also because most people looking for them. I mean, most of the information, as I say,
about the
it's track. It's all track related. So I think we don't see anything in our in any paperwork saying that we can't redonate this elsewhere. In fact, John Bruin also gave us a huge collection of books having to do with the African American, and we've often thought about African American history, of giving those to a library where they would get more use as well, but we never moved on it. And I know, well, we're not. I mean, there are collections in New York City,
Yeah.
for instance, where they would be, but we've kept them. We don't, we haven't. But I submit this to you, whether you think this would be a good idea to go ahead and donate these to the historic tract for their use.
How many volumes are we talking?
I asked Ann, she's not sure off the bat. She said there are 4 boxes filled with them.
And there are 4 boxes filled with these that no one's ever asked for.
No.
Well, I don't think
This
anybody
is
knows
worldwide
it.
basement, too.
John Bruin is a major factor in the development of harmony between the races in this area.
Okay.
He was an amazing gentleman. And in the days when it was very different, that people were black and people were white, he eliminated those differences, and just in the way he lived and the way he acted and what he did. I think the man is an incredible treasure of this area. I cannot see giving that away. I think that if certainly at some point the people, some people interested in how one man was able to change so many people's minds with what he did and what he wrote. He wrote often for the Independent.
Yep.
The man, people would flock to here for that if they knew about it. I think the Historical Society should probably. You look like they didn't know about it. I think they should know about this.
The other thing we could do is, I mean, I just
To lend it to them. I thought of that if they have a thing, and I don't know. I mean, I came here not knowing what it was, but knowing the man, having known the man, having been lucky enough to know the man, just can't see giving away the history of his life. It's certainly the history of his life as he put it together.
But it's giving it to an entity that represents what he wrote.
I understand.
It's
Well, we're giving it to the Museum of the Trotter, I think, if we give it.
Right, that's who's requesting.
I don't know if that's a profit or a non-profit entity. I really don't know.
No, go ahead,
Just
Norma.
I hate to throw anything away. So I've kept every scrap that my family has ever done. I agree with Frank. One is, are we going to be offending the folks who gave this to us, who entrusted it to us, number one? Are we then, if we do give this away, are we then sending the message, if you give us something, we may turn around and give it to somebody else? Our new mission statement states that this is a place where everybody comes to learn, and from here we go out and find other, if we're missing information on something, not missing, but if we want to enhance our knowledge base. I think if we were entrusted with this, then it stays here, and perhaps they can advertise over there that it's here, and people can come here and look for other things and look at all these other things.
Sure, I mean that's
where I'm coming
persuasive. I will say that in my time in around local history entities like this, it's very common for people bring us. Chester will bring us all their stuff about Goshen, and then it's sort of there's a kind of mentality of mutuality among these sorts of that you might not know unless you're inside it all the time. But I understand what you're saying. But I've very often seen this kind of thing happen where you're just looking for the place where whatever it is going to really get the use it deserves. So I just I bring this before you really neutral. Ann brought it to me, and
This is
I
incredible.
It is a treasure, and in the event that we get a new building, this might be something that put a display case out and say, here are the
This should be. This
treasures of
really
Goshen.
should be. It's.
I just think that if we give it away, maybe somebody else has something else that they're thinking, maybe I'll give this to the Goshen Library. Oh no, wait a minute.
They'll just give it away. Right.
If you knew what Broome did for this community, I'm stunned that nobody knows.
Ann talks to me about it.
Well, I was going to say something, but you're still talking. So,
Go ahead, Jim.
well, number one, he could have given this to the track. The track was up and running. They knew him, and he knew them better than anybody. But he did make a choice to give it to us. So,
Right.
I think we should keep it, but I think we should loan it
Okay.
until we have a way to
Space
display it.
Yes.
Sure.
Until we get a new library. Right now, it's in boxes.
Keeping and putting in the basement is not.
Yeah,
Right.
the audience for this will go across the street, and they're the ones that will get a chance to see it. And maybe they will have some sort of a note. This is on loan from the Goshen Library.
Okay.
It does it. Maybe I'll go across the street and find out what else they have.
Right.
Okay.
Because there's
that
a
would
lot
might-
in there
might be-
that, I mean, there's a lot of information I'm sure that the track doesn't have
Right.
in there, but the pictures and the descriptions on the pictures are marvelous. I'd like to bring to your attention, Education Law, Section 215. I've got my lawyer's hat on. It talks about distributing assets.
Uh-huh.
And it says the regents of the board of regents and the board of trustees may present to the court their recommendations for the disposition of the property. It talks about those, but basically it states that if we have surplus property, we must give it. Oh, I got the wrong copy.
All right.
We must give it to another library
Yeah,
first.
there is a passage. that-
There is,
yeah,
and
which you
There's a
and
we
hierarchy
can't
of
just
who
take
can
our
just-
stuff
Work
and
it
sell
down
it to
to-
make some money. We
Right.
can transfer it to another similar institution, nonprofit, historical.
Right.
we can't
And
sell
so
it.
not
and
knowing what,
That's why
that's
I
part of the
asked.
reason if we don't know whether or not they're nonprofit, whether or not we
Right.
can, well, I think we're in agreement not to give it to them.
But we
So we can put it on loan. So instead of having this say, be relocated, we're going to offer to them to be put on loan.
Not
Until, so not indefinitely, so, how are we wording this? So,
We're safe.
we'll propose that the John
Until
Bruin
the
When will the new
collection,
library be ready?
Right.
5 years? 5 years.
And that
5
we,
years?
and somehow we know that if those that must be prominently
Display.
noted that it belongs to the
Yeah,
library.
sure. We'll make
okay,
sure.
so,
Loaned
we'll make a
enough?
so how are we wording this? The proposal that the John Bruin collection be loaned, be on loan? On loan, that sounds good. On loan to the Goshen Historical Tract
Until
for a period of
5 years.
5 years?
Until such time as the Goshen Public Library requests it returned.
There you
yes, yes.
Okay, let's do that.
I
That
can do
work?
that, yeah.
That works,
Yeah.
okay.
Until
So,
such time. as
okay, so the
Goshen
proposal
Public
that the
Library
John Bruin
requests
collection be
its
on loan.
return.
The
Maybe this is something,
Goshen
you know,
Public Library requests its return.
this
Its
might be,
return.
someone interrupt her.
Go ahead, I'm sorry. Just-
No, I didn't want to,
No,
I shouldn't forget.
it's
the
getting
word.
late, you know how it is. Go ahead.
Getting punchy. Maybe someday if there is space available in our brand new, gorgeous looking newsletter,
Mhm.
every once in a while a little box, and in our archival files or
Right,
such and
advertise
such.
what we have in our historicals.
Just so
collection.
people
That's a good
know.
idea.
That is
Good
a good
idea.
idea. Okay, so we still have, someone make the motion, please, that we propose the John Bruin collection be on loan to the Goshen
Question or
Historical
proposing?
Tract. Oh, motion.
He's moving.
You're making the motion? Oh, okay. I was going to read it out so it's official.
That's all right.
All right, yeah, no, I'm going to read it out,
Yada,
then you
yada.
can do it, okay? All right.
Put your hand up, Frank. Good grief.
Holy crap. Okay, we propose that the John Bruin collection be on loan to the Goshen Historical Tract until the Goshen Public Library requests its return. Frank makes that motion.
I second
And
that
Norma
motion.
seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Thank you. All right. Mission statement. Now we're back to that. Where did I put it?
It's
Now
at
that
the
we had it
bottom.
right. Thank you very much. After moving so many things around. Okay. Our mission statements.
Shall read as follows.
Our mission statement shall read as follows, and then.
I'm so sorry about this.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay, ready? The mission of the Goshen Public Library is to provide and promote open and equal access to the ideas, resources, and services of the library in order to meet the informational, educational, and cultural needs of the community. The library strives to enrich reading and the use of technology for lifelong learning and the enhancement of the individual's quality of life. May I have a motion to accept that as our new mission statement? Keith, second Frank. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, now. Yes, and she needs a copy of that, because she doesn't have it.
Oh, do you want to write this down during this meeting?
I would like to afterwards if I can.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so that's that. Anyone have anything they want on the agenda for next month's meeting?
What about the
Yes.
flower contract?
That we're going to talk about in our executive session.
Sorry.
Yes, Frank?
New business, can I get something in there?
For next
rather
month
than
on
waiting-
new
waiting
business?
for next-
Sure.
Can I get something for this month before it goes into,
You talking-
wait another month?
What's that going
You want to do now? You want to add something to new business? then?
I'd like to add something that I missed before.
Okay, well, this is for the acceptance of agenda at the beginning. That's what that's for. Go ahead, Frank.
I'm on the board of directors of the Goshen Senior Citizen Center.
Right.
The Goshen Senior Citizen Center, I did, the board of directors of the Goshen Senior Citizen Center did make a motion and pass that we offered the library, the Goshen Library, the use of the Goshen Senior Citizen Center after 3 o'clock for children's projects. That was before, because of the trouble downstairs that we didn't have any room.
Okay.
I mentioned it to Matt
Michelle.
and to Michelle, and it's something that just never went anywhere. I'm a little embarrassed because I thought I did do a little pushing to get people to go along with me, and then we had when I brought it back to the library, nothing was done.
I think we already made other arrangements. That's
And we
why.
moved to the,
We moved
built
to
it
the-
down.
Partly
to
because
the-
that's, we've been,
Well,
this sort of people are
convenience.
used to using it down there and it's walkable from here, but I like the idea after we had spoken about it after the meeting, and I
Right.
talked to Michelle again. And we certainly didn't mean to drop the ball, it's just that I think just by the fact of the proximity and the fact that we had kind of made some plans with Jerry already down there, Michelle didn't, and I thought it wouldn't be wise to flip-flop and move everything back another place, although your argument was persuasive about it. I think it would be of benefit to the library, just as a, you
Well,
mentioned
there might
how-
be certain events.
Well, right,
So
that would-
Well, other
There's
than
extreme
adults.
advantages.
Yeah, there would be, because the room is so
just
large. that you
logistically,
could,
And-
you know,
and
right now it's
just-
difficult to just.
Just the fact that the library was doing something. I mean, first off, by our bylaws, we cannot allow anybody else to use it. I had to go and break the bylaws to get this done. But my vision of it is having kids in that building while the seniors are still getting out of it. They usually get out by 3 o'clock, and seeing the kids.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
I mean, old people and kids do get to get along together. The other thing from the Senior Citizen Center is that I got the Senior Citizen Center to agree to, if it was possible, to merge their cinema movie program with the library's movie program. Unfortunately, and this is going back to May, and our library has done nothing about that. And they have a thing where twice a month they show movies, and they've been getting their movies from Netflix. They've been trying to get movies. Matt did give them priority. The seniors like new movies or old movies, and if they can get a new movie, it's great. They usually, to do a new movie, they have to let them know who's coming for like a week ahead of time. And prior to this, they couldn't reserve a new movie a week ahead of time because the library wouldn't allow it. And
Right.
I asked them to contact Matt, and he circumvented whatever they had and got them the new movies that they could let their membership know. But
And-
again, this is an opportunity that for the library to join with somebody.
Eleanor just
Yeah.
got back from Ireland, and tomorrow she has promised me that she will contact them and try to arrange something. So
Okay.
Okay, and I
didn't
thought it was
forget,
important
it's
for
just-
everybody.
No,
And I
no,
told
it
you I
is.
was gonna make the people on the board know what I was doing, if you
Okay.
don't mind running around. And
Okay.
Do we need to have this on our next?
Yeah, that's just because we're not going to do anything on it until we get the
have to
official
start
one next
working on the
month.
budget too.
Right. We're going to have to start thinking about that next month too. Woohoo! All right. So privilege of the floor.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Frank. All right. So we're going to go into executive session. for a few discussions?
I'll move.
Where are you moving?
I'll move. Going to executive session.
It's getting late.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, so this better happen fast. Because this is going to get very
Okay, no,
silly.
go ahead, Bernie.
How do we turn the
Going
mic
in at
on?
9:14.